Show.
Matt's awesome. Everybody loves and respects Matt.
Follow Matt on Twitter and Instagram at Matt Schneidman. Sound off now on the NicoletLaw.com talk and text line at 1-877-794-1973. That's 1-877-794-1973.
If I'm in this crummy situation, let's make content out of it.
The Matt Schneidman Show is brought to you by Potawatomi Sportsbook. Bet above the rest.
Never go corporate. Always go local.
With Hunter Baumgart, here's Matt Schneidman on the game.
Matt Schneidman Show, Wednesday, December 18th. The news of the day before we get into the latest Matt LaFleur podcast, my 25-minute sit-down with the Packers head coach about a wide variety of topics that we recorded yesterday. Edan Cooper, as we discussed, would be possible. Another NFC Defensive Player of the Week honor. His second in his last 4 games played. Just a remarkable game for the rookie second-round pick against the Seahawks in Seattle. His stat line, 5 combined tackles, although Matt LaFleur said 7 in his post-game thing, but I'm reading off the box score here. 1 sack, 2 QB hits, 2 TFLs, 2 passes defense, 1 interception, 2 special teams tackles, although that doesn't factor in NFC Defensive Player of the Week. A couple tidbits from that. Like I said, Edan Cooper has won not NFC Rookie Defensive Player of the Week, not NFC Rookie of the Week, NFC Defensive Player of the Week twice in his last 4 games. The guy is a stud, and I know we'll get into Cooper a little bit later on in the show after we hear from Matt LaFleur, but Cooper, obviously second Defensive Player of the Week award, the first Packers rookie and the 5th rookie ever to win Defensive Player of the Week multiple times, first Texas A&M player to win Defensive Player of the Week multiple times as a rookie, and first rookie linebacker to record multiple tackles for loss and passes defense since 2016. So a pretty solid day for the Rook. But without further ado, we're going to get right into this week's Matt LaFleur podcast, my 25-minute sit-down, as I said, with the Packers head coach yesterday. We do these every month. We talk about Jordan Love. We talk about Romeo Doubs. We talk about a bunch of other stuff. So here it is. Enjoy. Matt LaFleur podcast, episode 4. I don't think people understand it's Matt LaFleur, not Floor. Is that correct?
LaFleur.
Oh, so it's like this. Because
I don't know.
Tom Pelissero
LaFleur.
once went on this whole spiel about how it was not LaFleur, like
It's
the
not
floor.
LaFleur.
It's LaFleur.
Not LaFleur. LaFleur.
It's the same damn thing. All right. I wanted to start with this because I know the last 48 hours you've just been looking at the Pro Football Focus playoff odds possibilities for your team.
I'm right at my screen right now.
Yeah. What is the message for the rest of the season in terms of, obviously playoffs aren't secured yet. You don't care about all the scenarios, but does something like 2021 maybe impact your thinking going down the stretch where you rested some guys in the last game and then you lost in the divisional round? Or how do you approach these last 3 games knowing that you're most likely going to be playing in the postseason?
Yeah, I think once we lock it up and have an idea of what's going to happen, then you can kind of plan for that. But right now, like I told our team, I really don't think, even when you get to that point, it's still got to be about your process. And I know that's a lot of coach speak, but I truly do believe in that. And just focusing on the things that are within your control. And that's how you approach practice, how you approach the game plan, how you go out there and execute, and just focusing on trying to get a little bit better each and every day, because I think that'll set us up in the long run for the best possible position to, if we do get to the playoffs, of having success in the playoffs.
I wanted to ask you about Romeo and not his on the field. I think, I've covered his whole career pretty much, and we see how he is with us. And, I've seen him crack a smile sometimes, but I think Larry McCarron asked him after the game about his second touchdown catch, and Romeo just said nothing for like 5 seconds and then just said, "I just caught the ball." And people are enamored with him. People are like, is he okay? Is this just who he is? Who is Romeo Doubs behind closed doors on a day-to-day basis?
Well, I think he's a guy that loves the game of football. He's a guy that puts in a ton of work. He's always thinking about the game. It's not a secret as to why he's able to make those types of catches, because all the hours that he puts in on the jugs machine when nobody's around, So I think that I love the way he approaches the game, how he goes out there and competes. And you can see it in his actions when he's away from the football, whether it's a run play or he's away from the ball, he's always going 100%. And yeah, he's playing really well right now.
I know the old adage is the coach's favorite thing is to win, but still have a lot to correct. I mean, your offense has almost been non-existent for a full half of the last 2 games, but you've still scored 30 points in each game. Is it exciting in a way to know that there is something still left on the bone and you're still putting up these kinds of numbers?
Yeah, it's excitingly frustrating. Yeah, in terms of this past game, for example, you score on your 4 possessions in the first half, and then you start out the second half, you got a 2nd and 2, you're backed up, and our rule is you got to get at least 2 first downs. You got a 2nd and 2, and it was a pretty clean look. We gained 1.5 yards. They actually gave us the 2 yards. They brought it back, made it a 3rd and a half yard, and then we're not able to execute on a short yardage run, and you leave Leonard Williams open in the B gap. So, and then I kind of think that just kind of halted our momentum, and we had a hard time getting going again, which can be frustrating. I thought there was plenty of opportunities out there for us to make plays and score more points, but I think we do have high standards, which is a good thing. And when you're not meeting those, it tends to get a little frustrating. But we just got to try to stay in the moment as best we can. And our goal is to score every time we touch the ball. And when it's not happening, it can be a little frustrating.
I don't think you touched on this in your post-game presser because I was in the locker room, so I wasn't there. But I thought you guys were going to just try and throw a quick slant with 4 seconds left in the first half, I think it was. I'm not talking about the clock management there.
Yeah,
was there any?
I butchered that.
Right. Was there any thought to running a play with 4 seconds left?
Absolutely, there was. There was, and we've talked more about what that play would be since then. I just thought in the moment, being that we're up 14 points, it was probably the smartest decision to go up 3 scores.
Yeah.
Trust me, I had to fight the urge on that because everything in my body wanted to go for the touchdown. But just, sometimes you got to make the smart decision and go against your gut.
I know we discussed this at the podium last week. Speaking of fighting urges, are we just blaming Connor Lewis for the 0 for 6 on challenges this year?
No,
or
no.
Is it I'm kidding, but is it a case-by-case thing where in some cases you said, first half we can maybe take a risk, blow a timeout here?
That's exactly how our approach is. We'll be a little bit more aggressive in the first half. Like even the and kind of the complexion of this last game, I think that was in the 4th quarter, wasn't it? Or was it 3rd quarter?
I forget.
I think it was the 4th quarter. But
anyways, it was 3rd quarter because it was Howell who got hit on the arm.
Yeah, but I thought it was the 4th quarter. But anyways, regardless.
Either way, second half.
Second half. Just the way the game was going, how our defense was playing, we felt like we should take a shot there to kind of, because I felt like might have put the game out of reach for them, knowing that it wasn't a great probability. It was probably less than 50%. And we didn't get a great look at it in terms of the replay. A lot of times that happens, and you just got to kind of weigh in the situation. Is it worth the risk? And we said, yeah, we felt like it was worth the risk because I didn't think we were going to need all 3 timeouts in the second half.
Evaluate the job Jeff Hafley has done with his defense just throughout the course of the season in all aspects, not just last game, but, I think you guys are top 10 in yards per play, scoring defense, takeaways, sacks. How do you think he's done overall?
I think he's done an outstanding job. And I think what the mark of a good coach to me is, can you keep evolving and are your players improving? And I think that's what we're seeing, especially defensively. It's year 1 of a new system. There's going to be a learning curve. We have a couple young players that are rookies that are contributing quite a bit. And so naturally the expectation is that they're going to get better throughout the course of the season. I think we're seeing that. So it's not just Hafley, it's our whole defensive staff, how they've come and are working together and maximizing our players' ability and putting them in good positions to have success.
Jair, all good off the field. This is just you don't want to take a risk with the knee because you saw what happened in the Chicago game where it got re-aggravated.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think he's getting better, and hopefully there's an opportunity there, hopefully sooner than later, to get him out there, because I do know that when he's out there playing, he's one of the best in the league.
And just a couple other injury things. Did Jordan Morgan have surgery? Because I saw him with the brace on his shoulder. Is he basically done for the season?
Yeah, he's done for the year.
Okay. And then Marshawn Lloyd, is there any chance of seeing him? I mean, at this point, you probably don't want to carry 4 running backs. You have no reason to take Emmanuel or Chris out of the lineup. Appendicitis is a tricky thing. Where is he at?
Yeah, I think Marshawn's he's. I would love to see him out there, but he's got to be well enough for him to get back out there. And it's been a tough year for him, obviously, just having the number of injuries, and then you have appendicitis, and so I know it's been tough on him, I would say mentally, but just going back, when you watch old clips, when you watch him in that Indianapolis game, you can't deny the explosiveness this guy has. So when the time is right, we'll certainly let him go out there, and because he does bring a dimension, just that explosiveness, his ability to run routes and catch the ball into the backfield. That's a little different probably than from the rest of the guys in the group.
Speaking of the running back room, and this is no slight at Aaron Jones. He's a first ballot Packers Hall of Famer, meant a crap ton to this team, but he only had 1 game in 102 games here with 25 plus carries, and Josh already has 4. I know he brings something a little different to the table. Has Josh ever asked or ever gotten angry when you guys give him a rest? Like, has he ever asked for a breather? Does he get angry?
Yeah,
when you guys
he'll ask for a breather every now and again.
Okay.
It's rare.
Okay.
And I've seen him upset when he's gotten pulled out of a game. So sometimes we have to protect him from himself.
Right.
And I saw it a little bit this last game. I saw him like limping out there a little bit, and told Ben to make sure we get either E or Brooks into the game. And I think it just speaks to the competitor that he is. He's always telling me he's good. So, but he's proven it too. I mean, the guy he's a beast, and he can handle a full workload. That's for sure.
What do you think of just the job Ben has done with that room? Because you come into the season maybe thinking you'll have AJ Dillon and Marshawn Lloyd behind him, and here you have a undrafted guy from D2 and Chris Brooks, a guy you pick up off waivers. And it seems like nobody's really missed a beat in there. I know you have like a true 1A guy for maybe the first time in a couple of years, even though Jones was that. But what do you just think of how that room has evolved this season?
I think that Ben he's really consistent with the guys, and they always are super reliable in terms of being able out there and perform their job at a high level. And we got a great room, man. The culture in that room, just the guys, their ability to cheer for one another and it's been since I've gotten here. You saw it with Aaron Jones and Jamal, and how then we bring AJ into the fold and they embrace him, and all those guys have consistently cheered for one another and have supported each other.
I'm curious, it's week 16 now. What kind of stuff goes on around here to break up the monotony of
16?
Week 16, is it?
No, it's 15, right?
16. 3 games left, 16, 17, 18.
Yeah. Okay.
What kind of stuff do you guys do around here to break up the monotony of a season? I know back in your early years there was talk of a basketball hoop, but what sort of things non-football wise
I don't know.
Maybe spice things up around here on the daily basis?
I don't know if we're
or is it just ball all the time?
Not as spicy as we used to be. No, I think, you give the coaches opportunities to get up in front, on each side of the ball, and bring a different flavor to what we're presenting. And you always want to provide some type of levity for the guys.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, just taking how many hours they're in the building, and it's just all ball all the time, that can weigh on these guys. So I think you try to find different ways and allow different presenters to get up there and try to bring a little different flavor to the meetings.
Who has the most unique presentations? Who gets the room going? Because I know Hackett had the gold zone. I think you guys still call it that. Someone called it that the other week.
John Dunn does that for the offense.
Okay.
Does a great job with that. Vrabel does our third downs. Steno always has a kind of what it takes. And then we do the same thing defensively in terms of half has different guys get up there and present, short yardage, third down, red zone. But we do have a ball meeting it'd be Thursday of our game weeks. And lately it's been all Campanelli. And sure enough, he's always going to finish with some epic boxing match and you're going to feel his personality. And he brings a lot of juice in the meeting. Matter of fact, I think our guys can go out and play right after he gets done.
Epic boxing match, like actual. Oh yeah. Shows clips of actual boxing matches.
Yeah. Like Muhammad Ali. I mean, I'm not much of a boxing fanatic, but like just different boxers, different great bouts where guys are just maybe getting beat up and they find a way to
fair enough.
Find their inner Rocky Balboa and win the fight.
Coming up next on the Matt LaFleur Podcast.
That one eats at your core. So it leaves you excited for the next opportunity so you can remedy that and forget about this one.
That's next on the Matt LaFleur Podcast.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com.
Coverage varies by plan. View contracts and exclusions at endurancewarranty.com. If you have a 2004 or newer vehicle that's out of warranty or about to be, Endurance is urgently notifying U.S. drivers about their low-cost vehicle coverage plan designed to save drivers thousands on rising vehicle repair costs. Those who qualify can pick their plan, coverage, and repair shop. Roadside service, towing, and rental cars included. All covered repairs get paid directly to the repair shop for you. Call now for your free quote. Call 800-431-8958. That's 800-431-8958.
Hi, it's Jason from Capital Heating, Cooling, and Electric. We're proud to provide same-day repair 7 days a week. But I never told you why Capital does same-day repair. You see, many years ago, in the middle of winter, the entire heating system broke down in an apartment building I owned, a building full of people counting on me that I cared about. So I called a big heating company, told them it was an emergency, and paid the money they asked me to pay. They delivered the materials and said they'd be back the next day to install them. But they didn't come back the next day. Or the next, or the next. So after 3 more calls to that company, I went down in that basement, figured out how to hook up the equipment myself, and got the heat working. That's when I decided Milwaukee needs a company that cares. That's why Capital cares about you, your family, and your home. If it breaks, we repair same day. Find us online at callcapitalcares.com. And Merry Christmas.
My friends swim no matter the season, but my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis can sometimes take me out of the moment. Now, thanks to Skyrizi and clear skin, count me in. With Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
Your holiday to-do list can be longer than Santa's. Between the shopping, the decorating, kids' concerts, and, oh yeah, keeping the magic alive. iHeartRadio is here to bring the joy to your busy days with commercial-free Christmas stations like iHeart Christmas. Or dozens of playlists so you can pick and match your holiday vibe. Open your free iHeart app and search Holiday to explore stations, playlists, and more.
every hour, every day. Follow the game on Twitter at @TheGameMKE.
We talk a lot about Edan Cooper, and I don't want to exhaust it, even though he probably deserves the praise. I will ask this. The tackle he had on Geno that eventually hurt him, Cooper said that was 100% clean. I did nothing wrong there. Did you feel he did it by the book on that play? Because you can't go at the quarterback's knees.
Yeah, live, I wasn't sure.
Okay.
But after watching the TV copy and hearing the explanation, the quarterback had neither feet, his feet were out of the ground.
Right.
And he took a swipe at him, which is legal. So, but like in live, I wasn't quite sure if that was legal or not.
Are you aware of the, well, probably not because you're so focused on coaching the team, but people just think Jordan starts playing well when Toyotathon starts happening. Are you aware of this?
I'm not aware of that.
Okay. So are you aware of this? Yeah. See, Jason's aware of it. There's a huge thing online and it's been being talked about on national television.
I don't even know what the hell Toyotathon is.
Toyotathon is Toyota's year-end sales event where from mid-November until early January, they have all their cars on sale.
I'm a GM guy, just for the record.
Okay, good. No free shout outs. And people like during Toyotathon, the last 2 years, Jordan has 24 touchdown passes and 2 interceptions. And before Toyotathon, the numbers are not nearly as good. So they were literally talking on ESPN last week about how Jordan Love is a Toyotathon quarterback. So I just didn't know if you had heard that yet. But you would agree that he's, playing his best ball of the season right now?
I think this is the best I've seen him. Just consistently doing what we need to do to move the football. He's given his guys opportunities down the field, but I think it's all the little things that kind of get overshadowed, just whether it's moving in the pocket when the pocket's not clean, finding his checkdowns when the coverage dictates that, or if, he's got to make drastic movements in the pocket and getting the ball out, just keeping us ahead of the chains. I mean, he's one of the best I've ever been around at avoiding sacks and negative plays.
Is the lack of interceptions, because early in the season when he was throwing all those picks, you guys didn't want to take away the aggressiveness because the good outweighed the bad when he was being aggressive. Is he just being more careful, or is it just luck sometimes when he's because he's still pushing the envelope? It's not like he's taking all these checkdowns. What would you attribute maybe protecting the ball more to?
I would say he's being a little bit more selective.
Okay.
When those opportunities present themselves to push the ball down the field, he's taking advantage of them. So he's doing a great job. I do think our ability to run the football naturally draws the defense a little bit tighter to the line of scrimmage, maybe gets them out of some of the 2 safety looks, which enable you to push the ball down the field. So, but ultimately it's his decision-making. I think he's doing a great job. I see it in practice, just embracing the fundamentals of the position, playing with his feet in the ground, having a great rhythm, great balance in the pocket, and he's delivering the football. And
when you say he's playing his best, does that include last season?
I believe so.
Okay.
And he played pretty damn well a year ago. So,
well, that's why I was asking, because, obviously there's far more to it than the numbers. His stretch last year was absurd, but I think it's interesting you say that. I want to ask about Christian Watson, because I know you just said everything he's doing is A+, and we've heard a lot about just the kind of guy he is behind the scenes. He had a huge stretch this season with, I think, 4 fewer targets in every game. He wasn't really, getting the ball a lot. Is it hard for a guy like that, who may be coming up on a contract situation this offseason, to stay with it and now see the benefits of all that work come to fruition with him getting the ball? What is he behind the scenes on a day-to-day basis that makes you guys like him so much?
He is A+. I mean, you can't ask for a better guy just to be about the team. And I think he's done so much for himself in regard to dealing with his body that took place in the off season. And we're seeing the benefits of all the work that
that's knocking on wood.
I know, right? But we're seeing the benefits of just all the work and time and effort that he's put into it. But he's a great teammate. He's always there for his guys. There's been games where he hasn't been targeted at all, and you would never know it. It's really about our team and winning games.
Did you see first, has Joe McKillop been promoted to head of security after protecting you in Detroit?
I was
Did
waiting
Doug
for this
Collins
question.
lose his job?
Yeah. We revoked Doug's security card.
You did see the Lions fan got his season tickets revoked.
I did see that. That's unfortunate. I will say, like, I think we are spoiled by our Packer fans who are very welcoming and embracing of the opposition. I do think the guy probably got caught up in the moment.
He gave an interview on local TV and was like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, he should be sorry. I hope for his sake that eventually he'll get an opportunity to
hold the flag again.
I don't know if I'd give him that opportunity again, but hopefully they let him back in the building.
You obviously can't do that. It's just so absurd that I think a throat slash is hilarious before the game. Like, it's so ridiculous that I just think it's funny, but probably not as funny to you guys. That's okay.
No, to me, it's just the privilege to be. It's one thing when you're doing it from the stands. It's another thing when you get the opportunity to be down on the field, be in our domain.
Right.
And, I was like, is this guy really coming at me right now? And it escalated and got out of control, and certainly probably should have ignored it.
It's hard to in the heat of the moment.
Yeah.
Did you see, though, the flag before the Seahawks game was not at midfield. It was just pressed up against your guys' sideline pretty much.
I know.
And I was like, I think they're trying to test LaFleur here.
And most people are I mean, you can it's like friendly banter back and forth. And what's great about those situations, I always go up. I know there's a Packer fan in here somewhere, and inevitably every time there is. And there was a guy down there that had a Seahawk jacket on, and I'm like, I know there's a Packer fan. I saw his green underneath his coat, and he unzipped his coat and he had a Packer jersey. So inevitably, whether we're in Seattle, Chicago always has a Packer fan. There's always a Packer fan on the flag crew, and so I always try to find who that person is.
We obviously know that your fans travel well. This is my 6th season doing this. I've never heard it like it was on Sunday night. That was ridiculous.
That was awesome. That was great. Our fans definitely showed out, and you could feel the energy from them. After we scored, it kind of like surprised me how loud it got. And then in their first drive, when you hear the "Go Pack Go" chants, and on 3rd down, they're having a hard time communicating. I mean, I don't think people understand what type of advantage that can give you defensively.
And just a couple more real quick. Regarding the pass rush, all 7 of your sacks came only rushing 4. You guys are like 27th in blitz rate. How creative do you have to get, and how do you think Jeff has done with that, finding ways to get pressure with 4, whether it's the pick games or the simulated pressures and stuff like that?
Yeah, he's done an outstanding job. And then just changing the coverage contours on the back end. But those simulated pressures can be a problem for teams, especially if you got a beat on where the back is inserting in the protection, because there's nothing worse than if somebody's sitting in 4 and you're caught in a 6-man protection with your back in the backfield. It's just, you lose your check down a lot of times, and that can cause problems, and it can cause the quarterback to have to hold on to the ball a little bit longer, or maybe not even get out of the pocket at all.
Pro Football Focus ranks you guys as tied for the 3rd best tackling team in the NFL this season. So there's a PFF stat for you.
Nice. That's a good one. I like that one.
You didn't win PFF Coach of the Week, though.
That's all right. I'm not worried about that.
I don't even think that award exists.
What are you saying? Because the 2-minute mismanagement?
No, I'm just saying because, well, maybe, I don't know.
I wouldn't give it to myself either. That was a bad seriously, there's a few things where you're just like, that leave you up at night, and that's one of them. And I know we won the game and we got points out of it, but it's just like that one eats at your core. So it leaves you excited for the next opportunity, so you can remedy that and forget about this one.
And I know you
for a while
want 7 points on that drive, but like, if you don't use up those 20 seconds and you get a completion or two, you probably don't take the shot to roam, and that probably doesn't draw the DPI. So you guys are probably coming away with 3 points anyway. Or is that not how you look at it?
That's not how I look at it.
Okay, that's fair.
I just, first of all, I never want to put our quarterback and our team in that situation. I felt like I saw that earlier this year, and it wasn't good. So in another game, and
I wonder which one that was. Might have been the first game on Thanksgiving. Continue. Go ahead.
No.
No.
No. Yes. Yes, it was. But yeah, you just never want to be in that position. We were on the fringe of field goal range and just should have called the play. We started that whole drive out. I was trying to be mindful of the fact that I did not want to give Seattle the ball back with any time on the clock. I just took it a little too far.
Okay, that's fair. And just lastly, since it's coming up on Christmas, what's a good LaFleur brothers Christmas story from childhood? And will it be a belated Christmas this year when you guys go to LA for the wild card round of the playoffs with your brother?
My favorite LaFleur Christmas moment was was 2016 when we were in Atlanta.
Okay.
And I think we already locked up the 2 seed or secured the playoffs or whatever. And we had Christmas off, which is a rarity in this league. Most teams, you have to do some work on that day. And DQ gave us Christmas off. And next thing you know, we were riding around in one of our kids' like Tonka trucks and drinking some bourbon, and it got pretty out of control. It was great.
At least you guys don't have to plan on Christmas this year.
The video is much better.
The video is much better, and that probably will never see the light of day. Anyway, all right. Thanks, Matt.
Yep. Thank you.
Let me unmute myself because I had muted myself during that. That would probably help. I just started talking when I was still muted. My biggest takeaway from that is that I say way too much. I say it before every question. It's like
self-critique.
It's not a nervous habit. It's just I do it on this show too.
Yeah.
But before every single question I asked, I think I said and I'm just sitting here just cringing. So, you watch the tape.
Yes.
And you correct it.
Yes.
On the field and in the radio studio. And that is one thing I need to correct because it drives me absolutely insane listening to myself ask those questions.
Well, they were good questions. I got to give you credit for that. Great answers out of LaFleur. You can tell he's gotten more comfortable as the season has gone on. Do you feel that way too? And this is the 4th one you've recorded.
Yeah, he's always been pretty comfortable in these settings. It's a different setting, obviously, than at the podium. He's more relaxed, not just because we're sitting in very comfortable chairs in a room adjacent to the media auditorium, but I don't think it has anything to do with the subject of the question. I just think sometimes when you get guys to the side, and I don't think it has much to do with me, because I'm sure other reporters have talked to him one-on-one, and he's been like this too, but it does make for some interesting stories. When you're at the podium, you're just trying to maybe give answers and get out of there. When you're sitting down here, the Campanelli story, I thought that was nothing groundbreaking, but the Packers linebackers coach shows Muhammad Ali boxing fights to the team to get them fired up. I thought that was a little interesting nugget. Then obviously Jordan Morgan out for the season. Doesn't look like Marshawn Lloyd's going to be back. LaFleur didn't say that succinctly, but it sure sounds like that is the way it's headed. He said Jordan Love's playing the best he's ever seen him. I don't think people would, say that just from the naked eye, especially because of how hot he got at the end of last season. But the way he's protecting the ball, the way he's moving the Packers downfield, taking what's there when it's given to him. I mean, we've talked about it a bunch. This team is a run-first team, so the quarterback's not going to be thrown for 350 yards a game. But in the opportunities he has gotten, Love has clearly impressed LaFleur enough to where he said this is the best he's ever played. I was a little surprised by that.
Yeah, it's interesting because Drew brought this up earlier today and said, do you wonder if we're almost a little used to it, where last year when he played well down the stretch, it was, oh, wow. Like we didn't really know what Jordan Love was yet. And now that we saw him play at that level, he's playing at that level now, but it's more like, oh yeah, this is what Jordan Love can do. And it's more, oh yeah, okay, nonchalant, if you will, or not, maybe we're not as excited about it or thinking about it at that level because we've seen it before. And we're comparing our emotions to what they were last year when the team surprised everybody and went down the stretch and won all the games and got in the playoffs and went down to Dallas and won. And I think maybe now we're in a scenario where he's more established and you just kind of expect this type of football, which if you look at it from an outsider point of view, or from, the Giants point of view, or the Titans point of view, or the Falcons point of view, right? It's like, well, we'd love to have a quarterback like that. And I think maybe need to appreciate, and the coach is saying right there, maybe appreciate what Jordan Love's doing right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I do want to get my hands on that video of Dan Quinn giving LaFleur the day off, and then them driving around in his kid's Tonka truck, hammered.
Sounds like
Christmas
that was the
Day.
Super Bowl year, right?
Yeah, that was when they
went-
beat the Packers. LaFleur was on the staff that beat
Yes.
the Packers in the 2016 NFC Championship game.
Rolled the Packers. I mean, that wasn't even
What was it, 44-21?
something like that. Yeah, it was.
I
it didn't even
obviously
feel
was
that
not.
close.
I wasn't covering the Packers
Mhm.
then. I was. What was it? Was that?
It was 16. It would have been January of 17, I believe.
So I was a senior in college. I remember watching that game in my college house. And
Yeah.
Julio Jones versus Ladarius Gunter, maybe the biggest mismatch in NFL history, with all due respect.
All due respect to Gunter. All due respect.
All due respect,
Yes,
of course.
Yes. But yeah, that was.
How about this
ugly.
new athletic hat? They sent us like a little
Oh, holiday
swag
package?
bag.
Ooh.
Yeah, a little holiday gift package.
Some cheer.
Speaking of cheer, we talked about it on yesterday's show. I did buy a Christmas tree today.
Oh, okay. See, that's what I was.
It's up in my
anticipating.
house, but you can't see it now. I'm in my guest room right now, which
Okay.
is where my radio stuff is set up. And there is a bed on the floor behind me
Oh,
because I had a
It's a guest
couple of
room.
I had a couple of my best friends from college visit for the 49ers game.
oh.
And I just laid out a box spring and a mattress on this floor, not like a full bed setup, but
Sure.
just something for him to sleep on. And so there's not room to put the Christmas tree in this room. I know I said on
Understood.
last night's show I would put it in the background. My number one off-season project is to put something on these walls so it's not just blank. Don't worry, I'm not in the Brown County Correctional Institution in the 23-hour-a-day insane asylum where it's just white padded walls around. I know that's what it looks like at times. But the Christmas tree is up in my main room with some lights around it. So we did get that. I went to, I think it's called Stein's in Green Bay. No free shout outs again.
Stein's Garden and Home.
Yeah, that place. I'd
Yeah.
never heard of it. I just Googled Christmas trees near me and went there.
I love that.
And so I got a 7-foot tall tree for about $60. And they were very hospitable, very nice. And they gave me some rope to tie it to the top of my car.
Oh, that's good.
And I tied it to the top of my car. I also got a wreath. So I put that in the passenger seat, tied the Christmas tree to the top of my car. I said, oh, this is good. I had it down real firm because obviously you don't want to be driving on the highway. The tree falls off, causes a 4-car crash, and you're going to jail for, not tying a Christmas tree tight enough.
Yeah.
So I literally get a block, and I can see when I started driving, the front of the Christmas tree was hanging over my windshield.
Okay.
So that was my point of reference. After about a block, I could not see the Christmas tree out my windshield.
Oh, wow.
So I said, let me pull over. So I put the Christmas tree in my back seat, and now it's 7 feet tall, so it didn't fit. So I had to open a window and put part of it out the window, but it was 25 degrees out today.
Yeah.
So I was literally driving with my heat on full blast, window open, gloves on, hood up. I was wearing this jacket. I was literally like this in the driver's seat. And then I got my tree home. So that was my adulting adventures today in Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Yeah, I mean, I was anticipating more of did you get the Christmas tree rather than the Matt LaFleur podcast. I mean, I'm glad we got to the Matt LaFleur podcast, but I was wondering about the tree. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, it's debatable which one's more important, which one the people care about more.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
you really have to wonder about that one.
Yeah, so we've got Daryl here on YouTube says Matt LaFleur has done a phenomenal job as a coach this season. I got a lot of respect for LaFleur. Someone has to tell LaFleur to pat himself on the shoulder every time they win. It's been what I've been saying these past few months. I think sometimes LaFleur doesn't get as much credit as he should, I think.
No, I mean, are the Packers the best team in the NFL? No. And coach of the year is probably going to go to Kevin O'Connell.
Yeah,
deservedly so.
Yeah.
Lose who they think was going to be their starting quarterback. LaFleur was never going to win the award with Aaron Rodgers, but he's a top 10 coach in the NFL.
Yeah.
Probably better than that. And I said this today. Packer fans, if you see how they're talking online and how they're responding on Twitter to everything, you would think this team is 3-11. And I understand the want for perfection. And I appreciate that because I'm the same way with the Yankees. Like sometimes even when they're playing well, I'm cautiously optimistic / pessimistic. when I said that we had this LaFleur podcast coming up, I got a couple comments. You better ask him about not being able to win a challenge. They can't win a challenge. And then I tweeted out the little tease yesterday talking about Toyotathon and the Lions fan and just some fun little tidbits. Obviously, we get into more football-centric stuff. People responding, you get access to the head coach and you're asking him about Toyota and not being able to win a challenge. Like, well, let's listen to the podcast first. And look, I get that there are things they need to clean up. We talked about, the inconsistency on offense for the last couple games. We talked about the challenges. The bottom line is this team is 10-4. They are 10-4. Have they beaten the best teams they've played? No, but they're 10-4. There could be a lot worse places. And I'm not just trying to be like, oh, rosy, the Packers are the greatest. There are obviously areas they need to clean up. And we talked about those, but listen, let me do my job. I'll let you do yours. But if you do have some complaints after the fact, after listening to the podcast, you can bring those up. And I have no problem with people disagreeing with how I ask questions or not liking the style of questions I ask or thinking I didn't ask the right questions. But at least listen to the podcast first. That's all I ask. That's my only one request. You don't have to like me. You don't have to like what I do. Just listen to it first for some context.
To me,
please. Please.
Right. And maybe I'm different than those fans. And well, I am different than those fans replying to your tweet. But I think to me, the Toyota-thon question or some of those questions are the questions that like, it's how fans are seeing the game. And so you're bringing that and you're bridging that gap between the fans and the head coach. And I think to me, that's even more interesting sometimes than, a scheme question or how's Josh Jacobs, that kind of thing. Obviously personal questions. You asked the Romeo Doubs question early in the podcast. If you missed that, if you're just tuning in now, highly recommend you go back and listen to how LaFleur describes how Romeo Doubs is, especially after, his interview kind of went viral, if you will, after scoring the touchdown. And then Larry McCarron asked him, and he's I caught the ball. That was his answer. So those personal questions are great, but some of those other ones, those, you could call them fluffy questions if you want to, but they're questions that people are interested, they're interested in, I think, more than people realize.
Yeah, I like to mix in a couple different types of questions. I don't want to make it just, X's and O's. I want to do some lighthearted stuff, like the Christmas memory or, the Toyotathon or the Lions fan, which I was laughing a lot during that. And as I explained, I just think it's funny.
Yeah.
That it was so absurd that it was funny. But Brendan Quinn, who's a features writer for us at The Athletic based in Michigan, talked to the fan. And the Lions originally took away his season tickets and the NFL banned him from ever going to a game again. But then they came back and said, if you take a course, I think it was like 8 or 9 hours. And I recommend this story on The Athletic, 8 or 9 hours of the fan behavior code of conduct, we will reinstate your privileges to go to games. So he did that, and he's still going to Lions games. He's like a diehard Lions fan. His father passed away a couple of years ago, and his Lions fandom is an extension of that. So it's a good story. And do I feel bad for the guy? Not necessarily, because he shouldn't have done it. And, story has a happy ending. He's getting to go to games. But my point is, I got off on a little tangent there. I like to mix in, some X's and O's stuff, his strategy, his thinking with 4 seconds left on the clock in the first half, or how Jeff Hafley is scheming up, getting pressure with 4 guys, or why he thinks Jordan Love is playing the best he has. And then mix in some personal ones about Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson off the field, and then mix in some softballs, which is fine. I think those can get some fun answers too. And I think what I try to do with these interviews is we don't get to see much personality from LaFleur at the podium. So I try to bring a little bit of that out here, and hopefully the all-encompassing of that interview achieves what listeners want to hear. So another Matt LaFleur podcast episode in the books will be available wherever you get your podcasts in about 15 minutes. So give it a look there. We'll be right back on the Matt Schneidman Show, wrapping up some other stuff. I'll figure out what we're going to talk about. Stick with us.
Don't show up, don't come out, don't start caring about me now.
Monday Night Football, everybody watching.
The Packers and Saints meet for a Monday night matchup at Lambeau. Doug Russell is live with the Potawatomi Sportsbook pregame show at 3 on Milwaukee's home for Packers football. 97.3 The Game.
From the Lynch Buick GMC of West Bend Total Traffic Center, Crash and Hales Corners continues to block lanes both sides of 45 near Edgerton Avenue. The bypass slow eastbound out of the Hale to 76th, 94 slow east from 76 to the stadium. If you see any issues, call the Total Traffic Tip line at 414-944-5111. I'm Mike Priest.
This report is sponsored by Lowe's. Pro Paint Days are back at Lowe's. Get your choice of fun.
Okay, I have to tell you, I was just looking on eBay where I go for all kinds of things I love, and there it was.
That hologram trading card. One of the rarest. The last one I needed for my set. Shiny like the
designer handbag of my dreams. One of a kind. eBay had it, and now everyone's asking, ooh, where'd you get your
windshield wipers? eBay has all the parts that fit my car. No more annoying. Just beautiful.
Whatever you love, find it on eBay. eBay. Things people love.
The Fox 6 weather experts are presented by AdventKnows.com.
Quiet tonight through the morning commute on Thursday, but snow will start late Thursday morning and really pick up by the evening commute. And then another batch of snow Friday morning, 2 to 4 inches in Milwaukee, higher north. I'm Fox 6 Chief Meteorologist Tom Walks.
This report is sponsored by eBay. We all got a thing. Yes, even you. If you love fashion, car parts, trading cards, whatever you're into, it's on eBay. So go find the thing that keeps you up at night. eBay. Things people love.
The Game.
Get jazzy on.
Let Iron Jock take the stress out of your holiday shopping now through December 29th. When you buy $75 or more, Take 40% off your entire order with promo code HOLIDAY40. That's HOLIDAY40. Now's your chance to get the best performance apparel at the best price, 40% off through December 29th. Go to ironjock.com for details. That's ironjoc.com. A couple other things. Tomorrow, so Thursday, December 19th, Wisconsin Badgers football coach Luke Fickell joins Mike Heller at 2:05. This will be his first one-on-one interview since the end of the season. Lots to talk about. Not a great season for the Badgers, but Luke Fickell will be with Mike Heller at 2:05 to talk about it all. And also, the new and improved iHeartRadio app is rolling out and will be available to everyone Thursday, December 19th as well. Big day tomorrow. The new updated app not only showcases the best of iHeartRadio today, but it gives you everything you love about your car radio in the palm of your hand. Presets, scan, the live radio dial, and even song lyrics. Overview and talk. Oh, that I wasn't supposed to read that part. I just read the part of the ad read that it was just talking to me. I wasn't supposed to say it. But yeah, check out the new iHeartRadio app. It's really cool. Give it a look. That was just my first time reading that email, so I probably should have read it before I read it. There you go. If you're on the stream, stream, look at what Hunter has on his phone.
It's going to look different tomorrow, though, probably, since it's
probably
rolling out tomorrow.
So iHeartRadio app redesign coming tomorrow.
iHeartRadio.
There you go. Luke Fickell with Mike Heller at 2:05. And in about 9 minutes, the Matt LaFleur podcast, which just aired on this show in full, will be available on Apple, on Spotify, on the iHeart app. 25 minutes with the Packers head coach. Our monthly sit down with him. I know people have said, is that we just got that question?
Zach just asked, when does the Matt LaFleur interview come on? Well,
you missed it, Zach.
Unfortunately, you missed it. But however, you can rewind it if you're on YouTube, Facebook, X, whatever, and you will be able to hear it, watch it in full on this same link that you're on right now on YouTube. So you're on YouTube. You commented on YouTube. So on YouTube, you just rewind it, and you'll be able to listen to it. We played it from really at the beginning of the show, about 2 minutes in. And or, again, it'll come out in podcast form in a few minutes. Apple, Spotify, iHeart, wherever you get your podcast.
Zach just woke up from a good nap. Oh, well, he followed it up. Zach's listening. Zach, we appreciate you listening. But yes, 8 minutes, you'll be able to get it in podcast form wherever you get your podcasts. The news we started the top of the show with, just to revisit it, Edan Cooper, NFC Defensive Player of the Week. His second such award in the last 4 games he's played. Remarkable what he's done. A big question, Hunter, and I want to finish the show on this. Should Edan Cooper be playing more? He has not played more than 71% of defensive snaps this season. On the season, Isaiah McDuffie and Quay Walker both play more than him. With Walker out, Cooper's probably going to play more anyway. But I think there is something to be said for, Cooper doesn't wear the green dot. You need that guy on the field, and that's Quay Walker. Maybe they don't want to throw too much on the rookie's plate, especially coming back from injury. I can understand only playing 58% of the defensive snaps on Sunday night because he had just missed the last 3 games with a hamstring injury. But there is a convincing case to be made that Edan Cooper should be damn near every down inside linebacker for the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, I think so too. I think he's earned his way there. As you mentioned, 2 NFC Defensive Player of the Week awards in his last 4 games played. I think that speaks for itself. And I do think that, look, when a guy's making plays like that, you want him on the field as much as possible because he can make those plays. He can get the sacks. He can get the interceptions, as he's shown. He can do both in one game in Seattle. So, yes, I do think that percentage is going to go up against the Saints on Monday.
I would agree. And, the Packers right now, I believe at Potawatomi Sportsbook, the phenomenal sponsor of this show, are 13.5-point favorites, if I'm not mistaken. That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's the biggest line for a Packers game this season.
Mm-hmm.
I still haven't decided what I'm going to pick. John Kuhn and I forgot to do game predictions on the Brick and the Stick yesterday, which is also available wherever you get your podcasts right now. I got to have a pick in mind before we do the Football Feast tomorrow, and Football Feast live from Kohler tomorrow, correct?
Yes, Kohler, Sheboygan Falls area, Highway 28. Wayne Larrivee will be live and in person as we brave the snow up to that area. And
is it supposed to snow tomorrow?
Yeah, it's supposed to snow pretty.
That sounds like it's supposed to snow a lot.
Yeah, it's more in, I don't know, Green Bay neck of the woods, but I know our drive up to Sheboygan and back will be snowy, I think, especially the way back.
Well, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. Well.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we got to get out of here. Appreciate Hunter, as always, for manning the ones and twos. Again, Matt LaFleur Podcast in about 5 minutes, available wherever you get your podcasts after we just played it live on the air. Tomorrow, Football Feast. Tune in tonight at 6. Brick and the Stick available wherever. Tomorrow is like a Wednesday. So availability, everything as they get ready for the Saints. He's Hunter. I'm Matt. We'll catch you guys tomorrow.
I see you.